Researchers in Cambridge are carrying out the first large-scale study into young women with autism. They say the condition is usually viewed as a male syndrome. Figures suggest more than half of boys are diagnosed with their autism before the age of 11, compared to only 1/5 of girls. The research is being led by Belcher, who herself was diagnosed with Asperger's, but not until she was 23. Earlier she told me about her condition.
Asperger's is an autism spectrum disorder. People who have an autism spectrum disorder tend to have problems communicating, social interaction, and they tend to display quite rigid and repetitive behaviours. So we see at the lower end of the spectrum people that can't communicate at all have very profound learning disabilities, to people at the higher end of the spectrum, those of Asperger's, who have above average intelligence but still have these problems communicating socially.
So why is it so much harder to diagnose girls than boys?
We think research tells us that it is because females seem to have this natural drive to fit in socially, and the symptoms they have aren't stereotypically autistic. So things like making eye contact, females tend to be okay with. Their repetitive and obsessive interests tend to be quite normal things, and also they seem to have this natural drive to fit in socially, so they feel more compelled to make friends and to try and mimic others, really, to fit in and try and be accepted.
You weren't diagnosed until your early 20s.
Yeah.
What was it like living with that until then?
It was a struggle because I think there were so many isolated problems that just weren't put together, and I think when I was given the term Asperger's, it suddenly explained quite a lot of stuff in my life that wasn't working out and that I'd had difficulties with.
So your research, what do you hope it will achieve?
I'm hoping that we can try and help females on the spectrum who may go undiagnosed or not be noticed, by being able to see that the symptoms they have are autistic rather than other disorders.
But if girls can cope better if they're not diagnosed, is there less urgency then to diagnose them in the first place?
There's certainly that argument, but what we tend to see is that females actually have a lot more mental health conditions when they are undiagnosed. So living with a disorder is quite stressful, that you don't know what it is or how to help it. So we tend to see that mental health conditions are quite common in this population.
What do you hope your work will change?
I'm hoping it will change diagnosis for females, and so make it so it's easier for them to access the help they need, because I think the diagnostic tools are in place for it. It's just a case of getting these women to their GPs, or these girls to their GPs and to the psychiatrists and the psychologists to get them diagnosed.
If people want to find out more about your work, how can they do that?
We're currently running a nationwide screening looking for the disorder in females, so the best place to go is www.psychscreen.co.uk.